QST, QST, QST. This is 9H-HAM. I am going to be controlling this evening's 9H-HAM GlobalNet, and we will welcome check-ins in a few moments' time. It is a directed net, so all communications should go through net control. I would like to thank all the people who are involved in making this net possible. I would like to thank the trustees of the repeaters, 9H1UHF and 9H1DMRL, and also, mostly, I will thank anybody who's going to join this evening, because you are the people who make the net and make it work. I'm going to stop for a few seconds for any priority or emergency traffic. This is 9H1FBS. Hearing none, we are now going to welcome anybody who would like to check in. Please use phonetic alphabet for check-in, and also state your name. 9H1FBS is now standing by.
Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Net Control acknowledges N7APW and would like to ask for any more check-ins. Please come in now. Zero BIA.
Nine Hotel 1 Tango Lima, name is Chris.
So far we have N7APW, Jerry, G0 Bravo India Alpha, Ian, 9H1 Tango Lima, Chris, or Christopher. I wish, oh come on boy. I'm going to take another pause for any further check-ins.
Good evening, name's Phil, located in Bourneville, Birmingham, 9H1JU stroke A.
Can you say it in phonetics, please? Say that again, you were a bit too fast for me.
Yeah, good evening, the name is Phil, 9 Hotel 1, Japan, Ecuador, 9H1JE.
H1 Juliet Echo, Phil. Okay, stand by. Do we have any further check-ins for the net so far? Heard so far. So I'll go to the top of the list and ask November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey to come in with this check-in.
9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sugar with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey returning. Good evening to everybody. I hope everybody is doing well, and I hope that summer is getting closer. In fact, we had a very challenging winter here in Wyoming. I am in the state of Wyoming in the U.S., and over this winter period, which extends from October through just about now, the beginning of April, we always refer to it as Easter. It seems like the last snow happens around Easter Sunday. We had a total of about 65 to 70 inches of rain. So that's, my calculation is almost 2 meters of snow, and we are in the plains. We're not in the mountains. So this year was a very precipitous year as far as weather is concerned, especially snow. And while there is snow still on the ground, not necessarily on the streets, but on the grass, it's melting very quickly because the last few days our temperature hovered around 20 or 21 degrees Celsius. And the birds are singing, and that's always a good sign. Apart from that, Charlie, I'm happy that spring is here, and I'm happy that the snow is melting at a good rate, not too fast, not too slow. And I look forward to sitting in the backyard in summer and operating a lot of ham radio. 9H1 FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. And Chris, I have a question for you when it's your turn. I wonder if you, I believe we were trying to get, what is it called? Oh my goodness, the app to run DMR on Android. I forgot its name now, to work, and I wonder if it's working now. Oh, I'm going to time out, and let's give a pause. 9H1 FBS, over, back to you.
Roger, thank you very much for that. I won't hold it very long. I'll just give it back to Ian. Today, by the way, was about 24 degrees Celsius here. So it seems that spring is springing in Malta as well. Let's see what you have to say for yourself, Ian. G0BIA 9H1FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet.
9H1FBS with November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey and 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, 9 Hotel 1 X-Ray Echo, as well as Phil there, 9 Hotel 1 Juliet Echo. I think 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Alpha is on as well. So very good evening to everybody. Sorry I've been absent for the odd week or so, but as I emailed to Charles today, for some strange reason the reminder of the net goes into my junk file under my call sign, and I don't know why. I don't check the junk file regularly. I suppose I should do it every day, but often I look and there's nothing there. So that is probably why, and I've been rather busy, I guess, and just forgot. I'll please see me a moment on that one. Thanks for the weather forecast there over in Wyoming, Jerry. That was interesting. My ex-well, I'll sit by my side listening to your dulcet tones. So I can tell you we've got 7 degrees in the shade in the northeast of England at a place called Matsk by the Sea, just south of the River Tees on the east coast, and a wind chill of 6.1 and a 4-mile-an-hour wind. And in the last 2 or 3 hours, we've had 29 millimeters of rain and hailstones, and the garden's looking full of blossom. Plum trees going overboard this year. We're just hoping that the plums will set and we can make some jam. I haven't been able to do it for 5 years since we first planted the tree, which is a windfall then. So we're looking forward to that. Interested in the comment about Android, DMR on Android. I'll have to prick my ears up on that one. The only thing I do with my Android phone is, of course, go on Echolink, and of course you can get all round. I did start this evening on 2870, the DMR link, but every time somebody keyed up, there was an awful tone came on, so I switched it off and I'm actually using Echo Link. Long over from me, Charles, forgive me for that. 9 Hotel 1. FPS G0 BIA the group.
Very good, Ian. Very, very good. Before we go to Chris, are there any more check-ins at present for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Please come in now. Nothing clear so far. So, back to you, Chris. 9H1 FBS, the 9H1 Tango Lima.
"9H-1 FBS from 9H-1 Tango Lima, Chris. To answer N7EPW's question, no, unfortunately I was not successful in getting Droid Star to work, despite trying through Brandmeister or through TGIF network. I just simply couldn't get it to work. But I appreciate your help nonetheless for for bearing with me that last time that we spent some time after the net and tried to get it sorted. I suspect it might have something to do with my phone. It might not be related to the settings itself, because the password is, I'm sure is correct. I've been keying it different times, so I can't be making the same mistake multiple times. And I am signed in on the accounts through the browser, so that must not be the problem. It could just be a software problem. Just the app isn't working, which I've gone through the Facebook groups, and apparently that is a problem that tends to happen sometimes. I'm interested to see if there's other apps for Android for DMR, but I'm not sure what I could find there. I could only find Droid Star really. Back to net control, 9H1 FBS from 9H1 TL.
Well, I hope that you do find an Android app which works. 9H1 Juliet Echo, take it away.
Good evening, gentlemen. 9H1JE. Name is Phil. I live, as you can probably hear, I live over in England, near to Cadbury's in Bourneville, which is Birmingham, central UK. My family are Maltese. My father and, well, my parents are no longer with us, unfortunately. I'm also licensed in the UK as a G6WPD, so I've been since about 1979, I think it was, when I did my RAE originally. Lots of family over in Malta. My brother and his wife live in Tarshin, not far from the temples. And I come out to Malta a couple of times a year. Last time I was there was in November, when I had to do my passport and my ID card after moving addresses, etc. So it was good fun. And not long come back from the US, went over to New York a couple of weeks ago for my 70th birthday. So that was good fun. Expensive, but good fun. Hope everybody's well. I think I've met Charles up at the radio club in Attard a few years ago. FBS's first blind station, if memory serves, if that's correct, Charles. If not, I do stand corrected, of course. Hope everybody's well. First time I've ever been on the net here. So I do often call in, have a listen into the 9H1 UHF, but there's not a lot of activity, unfortunately. So back to you, Charles, if you like, and good evening to everybody who's here. 9H1JE to 9H1 FBS.
You've pinpointed me correctly. Yes, I am the first blind station, and I used to go to the club at Attard, not a few years ago, but quite a number of years ago now. I haven't been to an amateur radio club for a long, long time. I think I should rectify that. Anyway, let's see if there are any more checkers before we go to the top again. Any more checkers for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Please call now. Well, it seems that everybody is out. I don't blame them. It was beautiful today. I don't know how it is now, but it was a very, very nice day with a gentle to a bit more than gentle wind, and the temperature was about 23 or 24 degrees centigrade, or Celsius, as we call it here. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, 9H-1 FBS, go ahead.
Okay, very good, Charlie. 9H-1 FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey. After a short pause for all the repeater timers to reset, we're connected to the 9H-1 UHF repeater, the 9H-1 DMR repeater, and the 9H-1 X-ray Echo repeater as well. So we're connected to 3 Maltese local repeaters as well. Let's see, Chris. The original issue with DroidStar and Ian, that's the app name, and DroidStar, one word, DR Delta Radio Oscar India Delta Sugar Tango Alpha Radio, DroidStar. The original issue with before DroidStar used to just come in a package and you install it and off you go. But then after a while, apparently there was an issue with the licensing of the vocoder, Victor Oscar Charlie Oscar Delta Echo Radio, the vocoder. And so you had to go out and get your own vocoder. Otherwise, I think you could transmit, but you couldn't receive. And then also around that time, 2 of the DMR systems, namely TGIF and the Brandmeister, required passwords. Now, in all fairness, there are other DMR systems, DMR Plus and others, that do not require a password. So if you think it's we were thinking it was the password, etc. But I think we've exhausted that avenue, and it may still be the vocoder. I'll do a little research now and see whether these vocoders are equipment specific or phone specific, because they really shouldn't be, but then, I've been told that before. So if I find anything else, Chris, I know how to get a hold of you. Let me recycle here. I know how to get a hold of you, Chris, so I'll send you a note on Messenger. And thank you for your time, and it's my pleasure to help anybody. Honestly, I wish we could have resolved it, because it gets frustrating, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, what else was I going to say? And it's nice to meet you. Excuse me. It's nice to meet you, Phil. I am Charlie's brother, 9H-1 FBS's brother. He's the famous one, and I'm the tag-along. 9H-1 FBS and all the people on the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, good evening to everybody. November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, back to net control.
I have my right not to answer the last remark he made. But everybody tells us that we sound alike. So anyway, be that as it may, we are brothers after all. And we've been through quite a bit, especially when we had a folk group which we participated in. Or should we say, I think we founded it actually, but anyway. So, let's see if Ian has anything more to say, and then we'll take a pause for any other check-ins. G0BIA 9H1FBS.
9H1FBS, G0BIA return. Thanks, George. It was very interesting to hear what Phil had to say when he. Good evening, Phil. We haven't met before. I have a visitor's call from Malta. When I activate it, that's 9 Hotel Oscar Bravo. And if you look me up under G0BIA, you'll see quite a potted history of my sojourn in Malta back in the 1960s. And you mentioned Tarshin temples. Well, would you believe I lived in Tarshin for the best part of 24 months? Back in 60, 65, 66 and 67. That was before a lot more houses were built and blocks of flats, which cut the view off of Tarshin, well, not only Tarshin temples, but cut the view of Zamar Church and another one, and Zaytoon Church. You could see all the festas going off and the goats being herded across the football field in front of Tarshin temple's walls. And I well remember in the September of those 2 years when the summer weather broke and the rain came down, and our flat, a second floor flat, overlooked all these fields at miles. You can't now from the same place. I've been back to look. Sort of, if you were in Paula, you'd go up what was known as Upper Arcade Street, but now used to Market Street, and you go right to the top, and you're more or less into Tarshin. And when the rain broke, our flat, as I was trying to say, was probably about 200 yards away from the wall of Tarshin temples, and it was so heavy you couldn't see the temple wall. But fond memories of walking through Tarshin at 4 o'clock in the morning, having come off duty at RAF Sidui, and walking home through Maba, past Lua, and down through Santa Lucia and through. Very, very, very fond memories. When I was in, I'd be 26, 27 at that time. So there we are. So nice to hear you on. I'm going to make this my final, gentlemen. I've got other things to do this evening, but I'll come on again, Charles. It's funny, your reminder today didn't come into junk file. So that's probably because I unsubscribed. So we'll see what happens. Nice to hear you all on. Take care, and we'll see. Alayla Tayeb, and see you all again. Well, 9 Hotel 1 FBS, and the rest of the net, G0BIA, saying a very good night.
Yeah, very good night to you, and thank you for joining. And I will remind you when the next net comes, maybe a day before. Excuse me, stand by one. Do we have any more check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? This is 9H1FBS, standing by. On the beach. Probably it's really the right time for it because temperatures are very, very nice. Chris, would you like to go ahead with another transmission? 9H1 Tango Lima, 9H1 FBS.
Nine H1 FBS from 9H1 TL. I've checked the Facebook group for DroidStar again, and it seems that other people have been having similar issues, where basically it says connect, and it looks like it's connecting, but it just remains as connecting and it doesn't actually get through. And I haven't found any other software which is Android based, but there seems to be something that I can go use on a laptop or a desktop computer, but not on Android based. but that's all I have to say for now. Back to Net Control, 9H-1 FBS from 9H-1 TL.
So the application for desktop is Dude Star. Delta Uniform Delta Echo and Star, one word. Okay. Let's see if maybe Phil can fill us out a bit more. That was a very interesting story that Ian was telling us about not being able to see the Tarshan temple walls because of the rain which was coming down very strongly, and or shall I say very heavily. Sometimes my English is not too good, huh? 9H-1 Juliet Echo, 9H-1 FBS.
Thanks for that, Charles, Jerry, Chris, etc. That's very interesting to hear everything this evening. Just quickly, I used to know a guy a few years ago down at the licensing, a guy called Frank Zamid. I know that he's been replaced by Brian Seguendo now, but I often wondered what happened to Frank, because he was a lovely guy. And when Mum and Dad used to live in Mosta on St Anne Street, just up from the dome, from the church, I used to go and see him every time I went over. And it's been many years, unfortunately, since I have spoken or seen him. So. Yeah, it would be interesting if anybody knows what happened to Frank. I know he's obviously retired, but he was older than me when I was old, and I'm 70 now. So lots of HIs there. But yeah, be interesting to see what the crack is. I've got lots of family all over the island, from Millie all the way down through Slima and everywhere. We've got lots of cousins there all over the place, Ferrugias and Camillaries and Vassallos, and not many Demicolis, unfortunately. My cousin Tony, his family lived not far from the church up in Millie, near Henry's Garage a few years ago. He's got lots of sisters, but unfortunately passed away on Christmas Eve about 6 or 7 years ago. Tony Demicoli, so 20 Demicoli. So there's not many Demicolis over there now from my side of the family, other than my brother and his wife. So yeah, microphone back to you if you like, Charles. 9H-1 FBS, 9H-1 Japan, Ecuador, in the worldwide group.
Well, it's called the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, and do join us again. We would be more than happy to have you. This net happens every 2 weeks, or should I say bi-weekly, and it happens at the same time, always summer or winter, so we have to change from GMT, 8 o'clock Malta time, which would be 7 o'clock your time. And you are fortunate as we are that we change time on the same day, so you don't have to bother about calculating what happens, because with certain nets that I participate in the States, the first time I missed most of them because they changed time before us. So I'll ask for further check-ins, please, for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. This is 9H-1 FBS.
NH5TS.
I guess if I recognize you, it's Steve. Is that 9H5 Tango Sugar?
It's Night Hotel 5 Tango Sugar around Neck and Sun Milcom. Sorry for being late. Just arrived. Thank you.
Yeah, well, to make it simple for you, you can make a transmission. Because I mean, I don't think it's nice to go to the top and then come to you and you just come in, and of course I did ask for checkers. Go ahead, Steve.
Control, I just came rushing in to catch up with the group, and I had my little PC here running. I'm trying to run this an offline version of ChatGPT. I'm sure most of you heard of it, the artificial intelligence chatbot, and there's an offline version on it. So I'm experimenting with that in my Radio Shack at the moment, and I'm very happy to join you here on the group. I was just came quickly from Marl, where the amateur radio lessons at the moment. So I'd like to follow those just to refresh a bit my theory and the physics of our beautiful hobby. That's it from my end. That's Control, and thank you for giving me the mic. Back to you. This is 9H5TS.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome. You made it. You made it. No problem. By the way, for your information, Phil, I'm 70 as well. I'm going to be 71 in September. So I think most of us are, shall we say, mature. I do remember Frank Zammit, and I used to go every year to pay the license, and he used to be there. But now, of course, I don't know if you know this, Phil, but the wireless telegraphy, what was called the wireless telegraphy branch, became a part of the Communications Authority. And of course there are other people, amongst whom my dear friend Mr. Sgendo. I don't know if he's a radio ham or not, but he's very, very good at his job, as Frank was. So with that, I'll see if anybody would like to make any more remarks. Please call 9H1FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet.
G3TZM Philadelphia Kulha.
How are you, Bill? Nice to see you here. So I'll give the microphone to you. There are quite a number of people here. N7APW, 9H1 Tango Lima, 9H1JE, Phil, 9H5 Tango Sugar, and now it's you. So I'll give you the microphone and then I'll open it to the floor. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, from G3TZM. Okay, Charles, thank you very much. Yeah, good evening, everybody, and especially to Phil. He's only up the road. We haven't seen him for years. We are in touch by computer, but very good. Anyway, I won't hold it. I just thought I'd pop up and say hello. Counting down the days to go back to Mostar. We'll be in Mostar again next month in a brand new penthouse. So looking forward to that. We're going to be test driving it. 9H1FBS, my group, G3TZM, Golf 3 Tango, Zulu Mike.
Yeah, okay, Bill. Maybe you'll tell us about it when you get back or when you're still here in Malta. Today was a beautiful day, about 24 degrees, and it still is quite reasonably warm. So I'll open it to the floor, see if anybody would like to make any more comments, and then if not, of course, we'll close the event down. And remember that the next one is in 2 weeks' time, which would be the 27th, if I'm not mistaken, the 27th of April. So, anybody would like to make a comment, please call me and I'll hand the mic.
Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Go ahead. N7APW with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, 9H1FBS. Go ahead.
Okay, very good, Charlie. Well, good evening to you, Bill. Chris, you as well. I'm sorry, not Chris. Trevor, you as well. Of course, Chris is here as well. But I hope everybody's doing well. I needed to point out here, just for everybody who's listening, that there are 3 repeaters on the island that can be accessed through Echolink. 9H1UHF-R, 9H1DMR-L. Instead of the repeater itself, it's a link to the repeater. That's why the -L. And 9H1 X-ray Echo-R. And I think 9H1 X-ray Echo, and somebody correct me, is somewhere close to Vgura on Malta. And as long as my DMR radio is on, I listen to the 9H1 DMR repeater, which is on DMR or Brandmeister DMR talk group 2780. So if you're ever talking to somebody and they'd like to talk to you on DMR, if you tell them to go to Brandmeister talk group 2780, and then you go through Echolink and link to 9H1 DMR-L, you will be able to get that connection as well. It's kind of interesting. It's a lot of fun, but then everything in ham radio is fun. Bill, I hope that the new place in Mosta is high up, maybe the top floor, so you can put some antennas, if not outside on the roof, but near the windows. I've done that before, and it works. And I think Mosta is a pretty good place, actually, to have antennas in. Anyway, I've said enough. It's nice hearing everybody, and this is November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, handing it back to Net Control, 9H1FBS.
Yeah, okay. Any more comments, please? Call 9H1FBS. Don't rush. I'll just make a final call. Anybody would like to make any comments, please call 9H1FBS.
Hi there, Charles. I hope you don't mind me just nipping in or whatever. Nice to hear you on over in the States, Jerry. I've just had a look at your call sign and your name. I've got some family members with your surname as well. So yeah. Bill and I have known each other for many years. When I first became licensed in 1979, 1980, we used to speak quite regularly on the repeaters over in the UK here. And we met up many times, and Bill used to go and see Mum and Dad when they lived over in Mostar, as well as other family members, I suppose, around the island. So we used to be in contact quite a lot. He lives around about, 15 miles away from me on the southern side of Birmingham. He's over more the eastern side, I suppose, towards Coventry and Birmingham Airport area, while I'm due south of the city centre by about 3 miles. I don't know if anybody's been over to Cadbury's over in Bourneville in Birmingham, but I live about 200 to 300 yards away from there. Got a HF, VHF, UHF set up here with a IC 7300 and an FT897. and all sorts of radio equipment and sort of 27, 28 megs equipment as well. Unfortunately, because of the area I live in, my aerials are not very good at all. I use a half-size G5 RV for transmitting and receiving, plus some sort of vertical stuff and a 10-element 2-meter 70 Sims beam and whatnot on a rotator. So I can make the trip normally in sort of various areas around Europe, etc. But it's very difficult to hear Malta on 20 metres. It does annoy me. I've only ever spoken to Malta once on 20 metres in 30 years. It's a bit sad, really, isn't it? I understand what you're saying over in Wisconsin or whatever, Jerry. I read. You may have heard of the guy, a chap called Lee Child. Him and his brother, I think, live over there. I think Lee Child himself or Bob Grant lives in New York, but his brother's got a place over in Wisconsin, and he quite often has elk and all sorts of wildlife wandering through the place where he lives and whatnot, which is great fun. These guys write the books about Jack Reacher, which is one of my heroes, unfortunately, being ex-military as well, the same as Bill, I think. But microphone back to you anyway, Charles, in the chair there over in Malta, 9H1 FBS, the group G6WPD or 9H1JE/A, over.
Jerry lives in Wyoming, not Wisconsin. Not to correct you, but you know how these things are. Yeah, well, I used to work 20 meters quite a bit, up to about 1993 or 4, something like that. And it used to be great fun. And I had a lot of nice contacts with various parts of the world. We used to have a net every evening and a net every morning on 20 and 15, and also on 10 meters. I used to be quite active. Anyway, I'm retired now, but unfortunately the antenna situation is such that I don't have any antennas on the roof, so I'm not going to try and transmit on HF. So I stick to computer and DMR. Okay, fine. Are there any more check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Last call. Okay, fine. It seems that we've exhausted what we have to say, but before I declare it closed, is there anybody who would like to make a further comment? Please call 9H1 FBS.
G3TZM.
And I should let you close the net, but I'll leave that up to you, and 7APW.
Well, if you want to chit-chat between you, it's okay by me. It's no big problem. There was Bill wanted to say something. Go ahead, Bill.
From G3TZM. Okay, thanks, Charles. Yeah, Jerry. I've had loads of aerials up in Malta in various places, in St Paul's Bay, in loads in Mostar. In fact, the home QTH is Mostar now. The head house is on top of a new building. Microphone. Yeah, he's built this new place and has offered it to us to use for a month. So we're taking him up on the offer, and I've stopped. I brought the HF gear back here because the noise level in Mostar now is very, very high on HF. It's almost unbearable. Even at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's still a lot of noise. It's got very, very much worse over the last few years, probably with electrical items and electronics. A lot of electronic noise right across the bands, and it's really annoying because it picks it all up and makes things a bit difficult. I've worked through it, but I gave up in the end. I just now stick to DMR when I'm in Malta on 9H-1 DMR, which is run by Antoine De Battista, 9H-1 US, who's close friends of ours. So there you go. And Phil, yeah, working Malta, you say is difficult even from here with a full-size 5RV, but I do use a dipole, which I pop up on the mast if there's anything going on. I chuck a mast up in the garden with a horizontal dipole that I can swing around and work the world, and it works extremely well. It's homemade one, very, very good indeed. We'll have to get together sometime, Phil. So maybe even pop over and see you. Pop over on the train. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Charles, and thanks very much for that. 9H-1 FPS G32ZM.
Okay, very good. Okay, N7APW, 9H-1 FPS, go ahead.
Yeah, the question, if Trevor's still around, does the club in Attard have an HF station, Trevor? If you're still around, go ahead.
Hotel 5 Tango Sierra here with the group. Yes, they do have a station, VHF, UHF, and also on HF. Some SDRs as well. And they're preparing a fresh shack at the moment. So it's a bit of a refurbishment, but it's almost completed. The desks are in now, and the electricity is all fixed up. So yeah, there's the facility there. Over.
Very much. So I'll ask. Remind me. Well, somebody remind me. I'll ask again when the shack is completed as to what times you're going to be operating on HF. Somebody like Phil perhaps wants to contact the island. I know the other club in Nimtarfa has a good setup as well, and I honestly can't remember the times, but they apparently are on HF every week, and that might be something that would be of interest to you as well, Phil. But we'll get that information. That's what this net is all about anyway, and I'll try to remember and leave myself a big note, because if it's a small note, I'll put it in my pocket and forget all about it at my age. And then we'll also put it out on the net, because I think it's valuable and fun information to have. I've said enough, Charlie, and before I go, Bill, I'd like to work you on the MR someday, especially if you're going to be on the island as well. I can't say that my DMR radio is on all the time, but when it's on, if somebody comes up on the DMR repeater or tall group 2780, I will definitely hear them. Back to net control. I've said enough. You want us more? 9H-1 FBS with the 9H-HAM Global Net, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey.
I'm going to put this out just, I know that we should have a sort of information corner, you know. If for example, the shack at 9H-1 MRL is finished, somebody would say that it's finished. Every time we should have, say, 5 or 6 minutes of just put it across to everybody, and then we'll see what comes out of it. Anyway, so it seems that we've come to the conclusion of this net today. My clock tells me that it's just past 2050 local time, or shall I say 1850 GMT. And of course we started at 1800, so that's a very good net. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to everybody who is involved, especially you who take part in the net. If you don't come, the net doesn't happen. This is 9H-1FBS, now closing the 9H-HAM GlobalNet for this week. We meet supposedly in 2 weeks' time on the 27th of April. Same time, same channel. 9H-1FBS. 73s to everybody.